Man saved a baby lion. Look how the lion reacted years later. This incredible story took place in Botswana, Africa. Valentin Gruner and his friend Mikkel Lagarth were patrolling the savannah in their off-road vehicle, looking out for any suspicious activity. Suddenly, they heard a moaning sound coming from the tall grass. Curious, they stopped the engine and headed towards the source of the noise. At first, they thought it was the sound of an antelope roaming the area. However, the reality was far different. Despite the dangers hidden within the dense bushes, the two men cautiously moved closer for a better look, only to be stunned by what they saw. Instead of baby antelopes, they had stumbled upon 3 lion cubs. The men weren't afraid of the cubs but were deeply concerned about the mother lion, who would undoubtedly protect her young. Valentin sensed that something was wrong. Despite the risk, he cautiously moved closer to the cubs. To his horror, he discovered that 2 of them were dead. The surviving cub looked up at Valentin with large, frightened eyes, silently pleading for help. Realizing why these cubs had been orphaned brought tears to Valentin's eyes. While Mikkel observed from a safe distance, Valentin approached the remaining cub. The tiny lion, both curious and exhausted, cautiously moved toward him, studying him with wide eyes. Valentin quickly earned its trust, gently stroking the cub before carefully picking it up. The idea of taking a young predator home seemed crazy, but leaving the defenseless cub there was akin to condemning it to death, as its survival in the wild savannah was nearly impossible. Valentin decided to take the cub home and informed Mikkel of his decision. After some initial hesitation, his friend reluctantly agreed. They then dug a small grave for the dead cubs and buried them. During this sad moment, Valentin resolved to do everything possible to ensure the surviving cub's survival, though he knew it would not be easy. Valentin named the small lioness Surga and brought it home. The cub was starving and very weak. Valentin quickly took a can of sardines from the fridge and tried to feed Surga. But the cub, despite not having eaten for a long time, refused to eat. This was a critical situation because the cub had been hungry and exhausted for days, and it was unlikely to survive much longer without food. Valentin acted quickly and called the local veterinarian. The vet was shocked by the situation and urged Valentin to bring the lioness to him immediately for an examination. Valentin jumped into his off-road vehicle and rushed the cub to the vet clinic, where he urged the team to do everything possible to address the cub's health issues. However, the little lion's life was literally hanging by a thread. The cubs had likely been starving for days. Poaching was rampant in the area, with animals being killed for money, their hides, teeth, or to be stuffed. Some even killed for pleasure, leaving the helpless cubs at the mercy of nature. Unfortunately, 2 of the cubs did not survive this harsh struggle for life. The veterinary team worked tirelessly to stabilize the cubs' health. Thanks to their efforts, they managed to get the lion out of immediate danger. After 2 days under the veterinarian's care, they finally allowed Surga to return home with Valentin. Now was the time to go back home. When they arrived home, the cub was suspicious of everything and everyone. Even the slightest noise frightened it, which saddened Valentin as he could only imagine what the little creature had gone through. Over time, Surga's condition visibly improved, and its initial wariness slowly began to fade, becoming accustomed to the home and to Valentin. It also regained its health, started to eat, and gained weight. As it grew, Valentin taught the small lion various tricks and games and tried his best to teach it the skills needed to survive in the wild. The bond between them was indescribable, and Valentin became an integral part of its life. However, he knew he couldn't keep the lion with him forever. As the cub grew and became larger, it started to make the local people nervous. Moreover, Valentin had to return to his home country, Germany, and knew he wouldn't be able to care for the lion when he left. And there was no one else to take care of it. Therefore, Valentin decided to take the lion to a nearby wildlife sanctuary. It was incredibly hard for Valentin to say goodbye, and he couldn't hold back his tears. However, he knew it was for the best. Although he wasn't the only one heartbroken. Surga seemed to understand that Valentin was leaving him, and it looked very unhappy. Valentin was tormented by worries. Could the young lion adapt to this new environment? What would happen if it couldn't? Thinking about this made his eyes well up. After the staff at the park took Surga in, they did everything they could to make him feel comfortable. However, Surga didn't seem happy. He appeared withdrawn, and the spark of life that once glowed in his eyes had dimmed. Surga struggled to adjust to the new people and environment, which was negatively affecting his health. A year passed, and despite spending a long time at the park, Surga's behavior hardly changed. He interacted very little with his own kind and remained in a depressive state. The staff were at a loss about what to do. Shortly thereafter, Valentin received news that Surga was having a hard time coping without him. Concerned for Surga's health, Valentin decided to visit the conservation area as soon as possible and booked a flight that same day. He immediately went to Africa and headed from the airport to the shelter to see his lion friend. When he arrived at the shelter, Valentin wanted to enter Surga's enclosure. The staff warned him that it could be dangerous and tried to persuade him not to enter, but they couldn't convince him. Despite their warnings, Valentin was determined to go inside. The tension among the staff was palpable. Although they were sure that Valentin had raised Surga, they didn't know how the new adult female lion would react. Would she recognize the man to whom she owed her life, or would she instinctively see him as a threat and attack? Some keepers tried once more to warn Valentin of the danger and advised him not to enter the enclosure. They told him that the lion he knew, the one he had played games with, was no longer there. Now, she was a wild lion who might not recognize him and could attack, but Valentin refused to believe them. He knew the lion was just in a different setting and wasn't feeling comfortable, which was why she was acting this way. As Valentin approached the cage, a hush fell over those present. The lion saw him and ran to the fences of the park. When Valentin finally opened the gate, those watching held their breath. What happened next was beyond anyone's expectations. Instead of attacking, the lion leaped toward Valentin, warmly embracing him and joyfully licking his face. The crowd erupted in cheers. Despite the long time apart, she had recognized him instantly and was filled with joy. From that day forward, Valentin visited Surga regularly, helping her feel at ease and integrate into the park community. Although her adaptation to the new environment was slow and challenging, Valentin's frequent visits made the transition much smoother. Each visit strengthened the deep bond they had shared in the past. As Valentin spent time with Surga, he noticed significant positive changes in the lion's behavior, which greatly uplifted both his morale and that of the park staff. Gradually, Surga began interacting with other lions and learning to hunt alongside them. Valentin and Surga remain close friends to this day. The lion is thriving, and Valentin visits her regularly, continuing to share meaningful moments together. It seems their bond will endure as a lifelong friendship and family connection. What an incredible story! If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please leave a comment below. See you in the next video.